Some letters are never meant to reach you. And yet, Mira received one. It wasn't in an envelope, just a single, folded piece of old parchment, sealed with dark red wax. It arrived without a stamp, somehow finding its way into her modern apartment mailbox. Inside, a single sentence was scrawled in an elegant, spidery script. "It's time to come home. 12 Willow Lane." The address sent a shiver down her spine, a place she hadn't seen or even thought about in 15 long years. The past she had so carefully buried was now calling her back. 15 years had passed since she fled Willow Lane, since the night her parents vanished without a trace. She remembered the street as being vibrant, full of life. Now, as she drove down it at dusk, the other houses seemed to have faded, their colors muted, sinking into the evening shadows. But one house stood out, perfectly preserved, almost glowing under the twilight sky. Number 12, her childhood home. The paint was fresh, the windows polished, and the infamous red front door looked as if it had been painted just yesterday. It was unsettling. The entire street had succumbed to time, but her house hadn't aged a day. It felt like it had been waiting just for her. The heavy oak door creaked open with a gentle push. No key needed. Inside, time had frozen. A thick layer of dust coated everything, but it was all exactly as she had left it. Her favorite toys sat on the living room shelf. Her collection of fairy tale books was still stacked by the fireplace, and the family photos lined the mantelpiece. But as she moved closer, her breath caught in her throat. Something was different. The glass on every single picture frame was cracked, with fine spiderweb-like fractures spreading from the center. It looked as if something had tried to break out from the inside. A cold dread began to creep up her spine, tightening its icy grip around her heart. She stood in the middle of the dim, silent room, surrounded by ghosts of her past. Suddenly, a whisper brushed against her ear, so soft, so cold, so terrifyingly familiar. "Mira, you're late." She spun around, her heart pounding against her ribs, but there was no one there. The air was still, the house was empty. Or was it? The voice had sounded just like her mother's, but laced with an unnatural chill that made her skin crawl. It wasn't a memory. It was real. Someone or something was in the house with her. Her gaze drifted down the long, dark hallway towards a door she knew all too well. All her life, that one door at the end of the hall had remained locked. It was her father's strictest rule. We don't open that room. Ever. He never explained why, and she had learned not to ask. But today, the forbidden door was ajar, a faint, sickly glow leaking from the crack, spilling onto the dusty floorboards. The rule was broken. The silence of the house seemed to deepen, pulling her forward. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but a morbid curiosity, a need for answers, propelled her feet toward the one place she was never supposed to go. She pushed the door open, her hand trembling. The room inside was a void, stark, empty, and windowless. There was no furniture, no dust, not even a single cobweb in the corners. It was unnaturally clean. In the center of the floor, illuminated by the strange glow from an unseen source, was a single child's drawing. She recognized her own clumsy crayon artwork immediately. It showed her family, a smiling mother, a tall father, and a little girl with pigtails holding their hands. But standing behind them, looming over their happy little world, was a tall, dark figure with no face. A cold wave of recognition washed over her. It was the man from her nightmares, the faceless shadow that had haunted her sleep for years. Then a sound. The wet, squelching sound of a footstep on the bare floor behind her. She turned slowly, her flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. A figure stepped out from the deepest corner of the room, emerging from the shadows like smoke. It was tall, impossibly thin, and its face was a smooth, blank canvas of skin. It was him, the faceless man from her drawing, from her nightmares, brought to life. His voice, no longer a whisper, but a guttural rasp that filled the empty space, spoke. "Your parents forgot me," he hissed, taking another wet step forward. "You didn't." Suddenly, the living room lights flickered on. Her parents were standing there exactly as she remembered them from 15 years ago, smiling warmly. "Mira, darling, you're home," her mother said, her voice sweet as honey. "We've missed you so much," her father added, his arms open for a hug. But as she looked closer, the illusion shattered. Their skin was pale and waxy, peeling away at the edges. Their eyes were hollow, black pits, and their smiles were stretched too wide, too predatory. They weren't her parents. They were horrific puppets, mockeries of her memory, animated by the thing that now controlled the house. The house itself began to groan, waking from its long slumber. The walls seemed to bend inward, the ceiling cracking and groaning like the ribs of a great beast. The air grew thick and heavy, and the furniture trembled as if in fear. The faceless man grew taller, his shadowy form stretching towards the ceiling, becoming one with the darkness of the house. He was no longer just in the house. He was the house. And it was hungry. The shadows on the walls began to crawl and writhe, taking on monstrous forms that reached for her with long, inky claws. The house was alive, and it wanted to keep her. With a primal scream, Myra turned and ran. Adrenaline surged through her as she bolted down the hallway, the house itself screaming in fury behind her. The walls tightened, trying to crush her. Debris rained down from the ceiling. The distorted faces of her parents flashed in the periphery. Their sweet voices turned to demonic shrieks. She didn't look back. Her only focus was the red front door, which was now swinging open into a pool of absolute darkness. It wasn't an escape to the outside world. It was just another part of the trap. But it was her only chance. She burst through the doorway, tumbling out into the night, and the door slammed shut with a deafening boom that shook the very ground. She didn't stop running until the sun came up. A week passed. Back in the sterile safety of her apartment, she started to believe it was all a waking nightmare. Then, the mail came. Another letter lay on her small kitchen table. Same old parchment, same dark red wax seal. But this time, she didn't have to open it. The seal melted away on its own, and the letter unfolded itself. There was no writing this time, just a drawing. A simple, childish drawing of her standing alone in her apartment. And right behind her, its long, shadowy arms wrapped around her shoulders, was the tall, faceless man, a wide, empty smile drawn onto his blank face. Some houses never let you go. Thanks for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, hit that subscribe button, because the nightmares are just beginning.